Hello, my name is Claire Monica Nolan. I live in Amsterdam with my gorgeous daughter and two beautiful cats. I would describe myself as an abstract artist, a child of nature, and an amateur tree hugger. Each tree bark has intricate patterns and shapes, a story to tell, and is unique. What I do is I wrap the trees in paper, press down and rub it with graphite and charcoal, take an impression or a rubbing, and then from these, shapes would appear. And I find one that I like and I start to draw it out and everything around it. And these drawings and paintings, they kind of form organically. And the way I see it is it's tree braille or tree translating. And I love the fact that each person sees something different in them. They can be incredibly detailed, or I can make them incredibly simple, and then you can work with different variations, colorways, making a pattern, block prints, etc. It's endless interpretations of what you can do with your source material. So a little bit about me. Growing up in Dublin, Ireland, I was surrounded by lush greenery, parks, forests and gardens, as well as the sea. And these were all just a long walk or a short drive away. And I was doodling from a young age and in art classes from the age of 6, and continued to develop my drawing and painting skills through my school years. So let me tell you a little bit about what I grew up with as well. So one of my favourite parks near me was St. Anne's Park, and it belonged to the Guinness family who gifted it to the state. And it has such a gothic, dark and fairy tale quality to it, with streams, forests, bridges, gardens and towers. It's really a fantastic, almost a magical place, and still is. And then we have the other place that's my favourite place is the National Botanical Gardens. And this is another place near where I lived and had like lush tropical greenhouses and majestic trees and lots of interesting plants and flora and fauna. And I would spend hours in these two places sketching, detailed drawings, taking photographs as well. And I was logging all the information that I was seeing and putting them into my visual notebook. And I realized that there was an overabundance of like abstract forms and strange shapes from nature itself. And I do like natural oddities. So as you've probably guessed, I was never really a great realistic painter or drawer. I mean, I tried, but I actually started developing my own style quite quickly. And I was luckily encouraged and influenced by an amazing art teacher, Mrs. McCormick, who at school really gave me the confidence to explore like surrealism, abstractism, and basically be confident with my own interpretations of things. And thinking back, if I had a different teacher, I might have tried to correct the overstylation and tried to kind of perfect the like realistic interpretations, but I'm really thankful for her influence. Another influence of mine was my father. He would often be dragging myself and my brothers out of the house, come rain or shine, and often out of our comfort zone and onto adventures. So we would be climbing the Sugarloaf Mountain and hiking through Glendalough, discovering hidden gems in parks nearby with the accompanying history lesson as well. And for artists, surrealism, pointillism, I loved pointillism, cubism, Dali, Bosch, and then also really into graffiti. I loved I just thought there was just such an authenticity to it. And I think that comes across in a lot of the artwork I like. And that's why I think the authenticity of what I do, telling the story of a tree, is really, really speaks to me. One of my favorites is Keith Haring. I love posters and poster design. I love flat prints, abstracts, simple shapes, but then also I love doing quite detailed pieces as well. So some of these artists were also an influence on me. I'm currently focusing on blending a little bit of reality with my abstract approach. So after documenting trees from Vondelpark, Park Frankendael and Flevo Park in the last few years, I'm now going to focus on Amsterdamse bos. Bos is Dutch for forest, so as you can imagine, this is more of a forest than a park. And previously, oak trees or sycamore trees would give me a lot of detailed bark rubbings, but this time the beauty of aspen, cherry and beech trees really captured my attention. I loved the simplistic nature of them. I also loved that they were quite flat in some areas and textural in the others. I liked this contrast, and I wanted to try and capture it as I seen it. So from the initial photos, I started trialing a more realistic interpretation, a fine art approach, and building up texture with acrylics. And then over winter, my aim is to build up more research photos, maybe some rubbings as well, and paint larger canvas pieces, keeping to dark blues, greens, a little bit of black, a little bit of white. And I'm set to exhibit late spring, early summer next year with my collective, where I'll be showcasing these more fine art pieces alongside some of my usual work, of course. So being surrounded by fellow artists and in an artist group called Creatives Collective has really given me the inspiration to explore and develop what I do. I think the hardest challenge is actually to challenge yourself, to try something new, to take a chance and test your skills. Another big challenge is exhibiting. It's great to do the work, but who is going to see it? Because you can get really lost in the online world. And I think you should be able to connect with artwork in person and, see the detail and hear the story and inspiration behind it. Yeah, unfortunately, if you don't have money to dedicate yourself fully to your work, have a studio, make connections, be connected, or in the right place at the right time, it's quite difficult to break into the art world. So instead, I decided that I would gather my artist pals together and we'd create our own art exhibition weekends. We'd produce it, promote it, and host it. And a lot of us have jobs and family to juggle. And often the artists who are exhibiting, it's the first time for them to exhibit. So it's a really naturally energetic, charged, enthusiastic event. It's very, very accessible and open. And it also inspires us as artists to develop our art more. We learn from each other, inspire each other. We learn techniques. It's a really great collective, and it allows us to find our own path, but also with support and encouragement around us. So looking back on being younger, I would love to have given myself the advice of being a little bit more brave and confident. But I also think those things are a little bit earned and learned. But in general, I would say stick to what you're doing, stick to what you love, and persevere. And don't give a rat's of what people think. One occasion where I actually did that is when I saw the potential of some shapes that I drew from a bark rubbing. And I thought to myself, that might make a good print or pattern, but how to do it? Well, after many hours on Photoshop, I sent off a design and got a stamp made. and began my love affair with block printing. Eventually printing on t-shirts, sweatshirts, and some cushions, which is a little sideline from the arts, but it's some can turn out good, some not, but it is definitely a playful experience. And when I'm doing the block prints, which are quite repetitive, that's when I put on my music. I will put on the Pixies or David Bowie to rock it out. Otherwise, I actually love the silence of drawing and painting. And like on a really detailed piece, sometimes silence is golden, and you're not influenced also by the speed of the music, and you become completely intuitive, almost meditative, if it's not for the cats meowing in the background, which is quite nice too. So when it comes to somebody picking up a piece for me, well, the best reaction is, it's hard to put into words. I suppose you just see it in their eyes. They don't have to find the words. You just see it in their eyes, that they just love it. Sometimes people can be quite descriptive in what they see, almost like the Rorschach test. They like to describe the creatures and animals and people and plants within the shapes and forms in the paintings, and that's also quite nice and quite fun. What would I love people to take away from the artwork is a sense of, they're quite peaceful. They're intriguing. It's definitely a conversation piece to talk about them, as in where they came from, as in an organic place. And that it's tree translations. The trees take from the ground and whatever's around them, the environment. So that comes out, I believe, in the tree bark, and also then in the tree rubbings and what I paint and draw, and those shapes. And often you see this with the pieces from Vondelpark, have a lot of horses and people in uniforms. Frankendahl is kind of skeleton remains and bones. And Flevo Park, I found a lot of like baby animals and things leaping about. So let's see what Amsterdam's Bos brings. And thank you for allowing me to share my world with you. And if you're in Amsterdam, late May 2024 or early June, please come to our next exhibition I'm doing with the fellow artist Creatives Collective. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, Claire Monica Art, or also here on YouTube. Thank you. Bye.